Volvo!
I've never seen anything like it before, and to attempt to hit the ball out of there is pure madness.
The winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Cameron Smith.
This is the one that I've always wanted to win since I was a little kid. So it just feels pretty amazing to be able to get it done today.
It's amazing that it's my destiny to be the first Aussie to win. Just incredible.
Hello and welcome to episode 38 of Playing from the Tips, Golf Australia Magazine's preview and tipping podcast, where we cover all the goings-on in professional golf around the world. Jimmy Emanuel here in the host chair, and I'm joined by two of our so-called experts to preview the action from Queensland, Mexico, Japan and China this week. First off is a man who apparently needed a palate cleanser in the Asia Pacific Amateur Championship. Some would suggest you need more than a tournament to cleanse. Rod Murray, welcome.
Thank you very much. What a week, though. You were down there. You're very lucky.
It was fantastic.
Privileged, I think, to have seen something really quite special.
And speaking of that week, we now welcome a man who walked around Royal Melbourne in what I could only describe as a safari suit.
Oh, dear.
Adrian Logue, answer that allegation.
It wasn't. It was an overshirt.
Was it a leisure suit? Were you wearing a leisure suit? Is that what you were doing?
I received quite a few compliments on how I was presenting myself that
Your
day.
show,
That's because it was an amateur event. If it was a professional event, it was a different
That'd have been
story.
the President's Cup. You'd have been asked to leave the ground. That's very good.
Any other reflections on last week, as we tend to do?
Look, for me, that was the best tournament of the week, and I think most people would agree. But you can't go past a 9-hole playoff, including a weather delay in Malaysia with Celine Boudier and Attaya Titikin. That was pretty special stuff.
That was pretty special.
It was remarkable they didn't run out of daylight.
No, that's right.
So was friend of the program, Ewan Porter's pronunciation of someone in the presenting party with 9 names, I believe. So go back and watch the end of that, and it was a clinic
That
from
is
our
an
man Paul.
MC's nightmare. When you've got to go to the card for the third name to finish from there to the end, that's brutal. Well done, Ewan Porter.
Yes.
He would have thought about that's like the 17th at Sawgrass. He was thinking about that all day.
I was doing that
longer
at the
the playoff went, the happier he
WAPGA the
was.
other day because it was a long one, so I was working through that too. But AAC was special. The composite course, of course,
Just stood out. And what a finish. Jasper Stubbs.
Jasper
Good
Stubbs
to
can seriously play. There's some really impressive stuff there. So, and that was his caddy, Simon Clark's second win, basically in a row at Royal Melbourne. He was on the bag for Jessica Corder when she won.
Okay. Did he not caddy for Adam Scott for quite a bit in between? Is that Simon Clark? Or was it a different Simon Clark?
Different Simon Clark.
Right.
He caddied for Aaron Badley on the PGA Tour for a long time. He's caddied for Jeff Ogilvy. Does yardage books in Japan, particularly. And how's this for a follow-up? I was lucky enough, my follow-up was a game at the composite course yesterday. Simon Clark's follow-up was an early morning drive to Warragul to map the golf course for the, the tour event coming up in a couple of weeks.
Does speak, though, to the importance of a professional caddy, does it not?
A place like that, absolutely.
And there's a guy who knows this tournament goes for 72 holes. It would have been very easy after the first 7 or 8 holes on Sunday for Jasper Stubbs to think, well, it's been a good week, but not going to be my week. That's the difference. You've got a guy there who knows, mate, this isn't over until it's over.
He also was good in his role to calm and manoeuvre Wenye Ding's father, who was caddying for him and who was a little bit overzealous at times.
He was doing the Peter Kuchar
of
the late 90s,
Yes.
We must move on.
Speaking of last week, we had another 4 top 10s, including Logue, you top 10ing, in a new word, in every event.
Is that right?
So,
that sort of
par for the course, do we say? Is
Well, I actually felt I wasn't really up to my usual standard.
I didn't have my A game.
And
Okay,
Attaya
enough of that then.
didn't get the job done for me at the Maybank. It was a little bit disappointing.
You're getting like
actually.
Tiger. I didn't have my A game this week.
Yeah.
I only won by 6.
Yeah, I didn't come away with the W.
Okay,
So.
nice. I like that. Okay. 183 top 10s, that makes it for the year, alongside 28 wins collectively. So we might actually know what we are talking about from time to time.
Not the we.
Correct. True. First up for this week, the Challenger PGA Tour of Australasia is back after a week off to give the AAC some space, and they go north to Queensland and the Queensland PGA Championship in Brisbane. Third year that Nudgee Golf Club and its Kurai course will welcome the championship. Redesigned a couple of years ago, the 36-hole venue, the Kurai was the first one complete. It was done by James Wilshire. It is very much sort of built up with big mounding and everything like that. It's a lot of water, par 3 to finish, which is rare. Aaron Wilkin was the winner here last year in a very exciting playoff.
Scott Hender member, loves the place. Favourite
Scott
golf course in the world.
Is a member and absolutely loves the place. But interestingly, in terms of the golf course is interesting to watch because it always produces a good result. Last year particularly was very good. But this year, players to watch is probably the interesting thing about this event. John Senden.
Yeah.
Who finished runner-up in this championship in 1997.
Coming back to defend his runner-up finish.
I'm going to suggest there wasn't a lot of the rest of the field born at the time. He's back and is playing, which is magnificent. He's going to play a little bit at home, obviously. David Micheluzzi is back playing the Aussie Tour after winning the Order of Merit last year and playing some majors and everything like that this year. And then the other one that's a really good story is Michael Hendry is playing this week, having been battling leukemia. Hendry is back playing some tour golf, which is fantastic. He's a nice guy too, Michael.
He's a nice guy.
There's also a bit of interest around some amateurs who will be in the field, who guys played last week. So you got Quinn Croker, who's from Toowoomba, but near enough. Billy Dowling, who was in the final group at Royal Melbourne last week and is an impressive young player. Lincoln Morgan, who's Jed's brother. And some people who are playing who maybe they won't be an amateur by the time the first tee shots are struck. So Kazuma Kabori is not playing the New Zealand amateur. He is instead playing the Queensland PGA. I think Max Charles, who played last week, is also playing. Jeff Guan is in the field as
He's
well.
Still got an A next to his name.
Jeff does still have an A next to his
might
name.
Change before Thursday?
No, I'm not sure on Jeff.
No. Young, I think.
There was a lot of discussions last week about who was doing what, but they're all still yet to decide. So an exciting one actually up there that week, and this is now really constant tour golf from Australia up until the end of the year now. So let's get some picks from everyone to see if we can add to your win streak, Logue. Who do you like?
I'm just going to go with Harrison Crowe. I think.
Okay.
You love that Rocky Road, don't you?
That's a play for Rocky Road. That's not a play for anyone else's benefit but your own.
He's got a winner elsewhere. He's just looking for the Rocky Road.
Looking at this field of all those players there, he has the potential just to tear it apart. He needs to, he needs to show us something. I think in the professional
ranks.
ranks,
Something perhaps as well.
Yep.
So,
Rod,
motivation.
a thought?
Just before we do that, if you're in Brisbane, go along and watch John Senden hit balls. It is off the charts good. Genuinely world class. Ian Triggs will tell you there's been a handful of players that he's worked with that are just the next level of hitting. Senden's one of those, so do yourself a favour if you're in Queensland. I'm going to go with Jordan Zunic. Trending.
Yeah.
Too good a player to be... It's not like he's been in a slump or the doldrums. I mean, COVID didn't help, obviously, but he would have expected more, and I would have expected more from him in the last couple of years as well. He's got all the talent in the world. Just extraordinary talent.
Feels like he has a little bit of trouble sustaining it over 4 rounds sometimes.
Yeah, look, he's flighty. It's the mental side of the game that lets Jordan down. I think he'd admit that. He worked with Nick Ahern there for a while. I'm not sure whether he still does, and that sort of really helped him. But
little bits of conversation and stuff, not his official capacity.
He's one of those guys, a bit like Robert Allenby. He's just got magic in his hands. He just hits it. It sounds different. He's one of those guys, and so he's been trending in the right direction. So I'll
nice.
Jordan this week.
I'm going to go with Dimi Papadakis, who's back from Corn Ferry duty and will really like this golf course and really like just being back playing amongst his mates, I think. So this is going to be a pretty big week, I think, for a guy like Dimi. So I think he's going to be there or thereabouts.
Had a good year in the country. Had a couple of close calls.
Yeah, absolutely. So
having serious player.
Having
serious
sort of not battled, but tried a lot in Europe for a long time, he sort of switched gears by just... it's time to make a change.
He has kept getting better over his whole career, though, which is a really encouraging thing. He might be one of those guys who peaks in his early to mid-30s. How old is he now? He must be 30 by now, I would think.
He'd be very close to, yeah.
This might be Dimi's time around about now, so I don't dislike that, especially if the wind blows.
Let's make a shift and let's go to Mexico and the Worldwide Technology Championship. And, Rod, you're going to tell us about that.
Sponsor watch?
Yeah.
Worldwide Technology. I'd never heard of them.
Curious.
They're enormous. Massive global company. Got an office here in Sydney.
It's in
the title. I know the clue's in the title. Worldwide technology. They work in the areas of cloud computing, computer security, data centers, data analytics, and artificial intelligence, computer networks, application software development, cell phone carrier networking, consulting service, and they themselves say we play a vital role in changing the world for the better. One of their directors has clearly got an interest in golf. They sponsor a bunch of players on the APGA Tour in the States, which is an African-American tour specifically. And obviously they sponsor this one, so there you go.
Sounds a little bit like a made-up company name.
It does a bit.
Like Acme Incorporated.
Yeah. You'd see them on the Roadrunner.
Yeah.
Worldwide technology.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, they are a big company. El Cardenal at Diamante in Mexico. Tiger Woods' first design, opened in 2014. First time we'll see a tour event on one of his designs. So you can imagine that. You'll hear that relentlessly this week.
Oh, absolutely.
Any link you can make to Tiger Woods if you're a golf event, you will do it. There's a short course here as well, which I think might be one of Tiger's stipulations. If you want him to do a course, he insists that you also do a short course for kids and stuff. The one at Blue Jack National that he did looks just amazing.
Yeah.
This has got one of those as well. Look, there's probably lots of elevation changes. Steep uphills and downhills. There'll be some tired caddies at the end of the week. It also means yardages are kind of out the window. This is going to be a field players week. It kind of doesn't matter what the number is because add to that, the wind can also howl through there. So, yeah, throw the yardage book out this week. Look for players who are that sort of more mercurial sort of thing. Short grass around the greens, big greens, really big greens, wide fairways. Sort of elements of what we saw at Royal Melbourne last week. More that kind of golf. Greens aren't hard to hit, but getting the ball close to the hole is not necessarily simple. Look, expect scoring to be low. Scoring is always low at this level. The wind is the thing that might blow that out of the water. Players to watch, Ludwig Aubert. He's going to grab all the attention, rightfully so. He's been making waves.
Not Michael Block?
Well, Michael Block's saving himself for a big week in Australia. Clearly, well, funny you should say that. He kind of needs to do something this week, ideally. There's been a bit of consternation about his announcement last week coming to the Australian Open. Not everybody was happy about it. Aubert is probably the biggest name. Isn't that insane? Aubert is the biggest name in the field. He's been a professional.
Absolutely crazy.
For 4 months or something.
Other than Michael Block.
Other than Michael. Well, maybe they'll play together. And if Block had Ludwig's driving.
I feel that includes major champion Stuart Sink.
Stuart might be past his best. He's on the back nine of his career, I'm going to suggest to you. Still has by far the best hat tan line of anybody in the field. But enormous calves. Did you see that at the Ryder Cup?
Oh, yeah.
Giant calves.
Big thumping calves.
Big man.
Yeah.
Big. He is a big man. He's a deceptively big man too.
Yeah.
He doesn't look sort of huge, but he's got...
No.
Yeah, none of that's got anything to do really with the golf this week. You wouldn't bet against Aubert, but I'm not going to tip him this week. There's no dud PGA Tour players, so pretty much most of this field this week can win. Interesting players, Ryo Ishikawa's teeing up. He got a top 10 at the Zozo, so he gets a start. Not sure he'll do much, but he's interesting to see. And Michael Block, as you said, also in the field. There's 3 Australians in the field, Lucas Herbert, Harrison Endicott and Cam Percy. And I know you're about to ask me for my tip, and I'm going to give it to you. It's Lucas Herbert. Won earlier this year in Japan. Hasn't done a lot since, but I think this golf course, this style of golf will suit him. You remember his first win in the States was in Bermuda, and it was howling a hoolie. I think he's that kind of player. He'll like this. Yardage book out the window. And away you go. So I'm tipping Lucas Herbert.
Reasonable tip. Loke?
I'm tipping Cameron Champ. It's...
Did you just champ him?
You're right there, champ.
It's a tough one. He could do really well. He could do really badly. I'm taking a bit of a punt on this one. It's like, could go either way.
Was this the first crack in the...
Is the system
has Load had his year?
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Has the system gone on safari?
I've gone with my heart, not with my head on this one.
I'm going to go with Thomas Dietrich, who I keep tipping and I will continue to keep tipping because one day he will win and I need to be there to celebrate.
He absolutely will. You're right.
Before we move along to the next event, we are just going to make a mention of the longest day, which is coming up very soon, officially on Monday, December 11, where participants play 72 holes of golf in a single day to raise money and awareness for the Cancer Council and particularly skin cancer.
Saw the ad for it during the Asia Pacific Amateur, which was good to see.
Beautiful.
Good to see them promoting it, which is great.
It's basically about raising money because almost 1 in 2 Australians will be diagnosed with some form of cancer by the age of 85.
It's just insane, isn't it? It really is insane. 1 in 2, that's half of us.
A good way to go out and raise money, raise awareness and also enjoy yourself by playing 72 holes of golf if that's your kind of
enjoy
thing.
the first 36, maybe the first 54, but I'm going to suggest, Logue, that the last 9, it's a tough finish.
Yeah.
You've done it.
I've done it. Yeah, I think I mentioned last week, there's this period where you just hate playing for 9 or 18 holes, but then it gets exciting again at the end. And
Unsurprising, I heard David Greenhill talking about doing it the other day, and I was like,
He'll do it twice.
You would.
Yeah, he'll
and
do it twice.
you'd do it with a smile on your face, and, so good on him. But you can find out more by visiting just visiting longestday.org.au.
Link in the show notes?
Yes, why not?
I'll put a link in the show notes.
Absolutely. We don't do that very often on this show, so I like that.
Actually don't.
Let's go now to Japan. And Rod, we are going to learn about firstly, I hope we're going to learn about the sponsor, but secondly, about the Toto Japan Classic.
Toto Japan. Toto are a bathroom products company, which is a nice way of saying they make toilets, among other stuff, which is pretty proud to look at their website. And honestly, marketing as a toilet maker must be difficult. Have a look at their website. They've done a pretty good job, all in all. There's not much
they
more
make the fancy one with buttons and stuff?
Yeah, they make sensor taps, all that stuff. Yeah, all the high-end stuff. So, yeah, they're serious. I don't know whether they make those specific Japanese ones that I think you're talking about. But anyway.
I now will have 2 toilet brands regularly in my head.
Cola?
No, Dalton.
Oh, Dalton. Cola sponsors.
Cola.
Well, they own Whistling Straits.
That's right.
Cola. Okay.
And does he own the hotel behind the 18th at St Andrews too?
I believe so.
Herb
Yes.
Cola?
Herb Cola, yeah.
Anyway, enough of that. Talk about golf. This tournament's been around since 1973. It's co-sanctioned between the LPGA and the Japan LPGA. That co-sanction started in 75, but they've actually played it every year since 1973. Moves around from course to course. This year's host is the Taiheiyo Club Minori. This is its 4th time hosting. Annika won this tournament 5 years straight, 2001 to 2. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? How many did Kari win up on the Gold Coast? She won 7.
The Women's Masters, was it?
She won 7
But they
of
weren't
them total, but they
consecutive.
weren't consecutive. No.
Laura Davies did something similar at some tournament as well. So, but that's to keep coming back and winning, and with outrageously good scores too, 20-something under through 54 holes, most of them. Anyway, so if you lived through that era, you were quite lucky. Defending champions Gemma Dryborough from Scotland. Course has been around since 2002. I know nothing about this guy, Logue. Maybe you do. Local architect Shunji Kurakami.
Oh, no, I don't.
Nothing about him.
I was about to be very impressed for a moment there.
We're in a parkland setting here. Narrowish fairways, dense trees either side. There's lots of width, so the fairways are quite narrow, and then there's quite a bit of rough before you get to the tree lines. So it's not as claustrophobic as some of those parkland courses can feel. Not particularly long. This is going to be sort of your precision course. Good iron players and good thinking players. You're not going to overpower this course. In fact, you'll probably get yourself into trouble if you're trying to hit it too far off the tee. I went to look for players to watch. Lydia Ko is on the reserves list.
Again. Oh, reserves list.
The reserves list. So I went and had a look.
Didn't get
You
an
just
invite.
expect that Lydia Ko is at the top of the game. 19 starts this year, 15 cuts made, 2 top 10s. One of them in February and the other one 2 weeks ago, though she finished tied 11th last week. So Lydia Ko has very, very quietly had a slump.
She got married.
Yeah.
She did.
She did get married.
She won a couple of times after she had her honeymoon last
at
year.
the
but
end of last year. Yeah,
Well,
I didn't
there
realise
was-
what a poor year it's been.
There was a bit of discussion about Lydia last week amongst various people and people who've been involved with her career over the journey, and particularly talking about Kazuma Kobori, who was leading after day one in New Zealand golf. But, yeah, very interesting at this stage.
Said she was going to retire at 30 and go and do a psychology degree. She's got to be approaching 30 and they're not too... Are we any concerns about her motivation, do you reckon?
I think that's probably an understandable question. You wouldn't know exactly. She is still only 26, so...
It's incredible. She's 26.
She's still got a bit of time till that
She's got 4 years.
deadline.
I
But
just wonder.
it is interesting to see what she will do. She's obviously had a very, very good career, probably not as good as people would have thought, but she's finding that motivation in that area.
Being in the
But the fact
spotlight.
she always plays in Asia, but that she's been going over there and asking for invites and stuff is interesting.
But the scrutiny, that's 13. She was 13 when she won her first tournament. The scrutiny on her has been relentless from day one. She's in that kind of category. And you just wonder how much of that you can put up with before you say, you know what, I don't need this. She doesn't need the
It's
money.
beneath it to be on the reserves list.
Oh, absolutely. I'm surprised she didn't withdraw.
Yeah.
Just to avoid the... I can't imagine the last time she would have been on a reserve list.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Lydia Ko, great player. We've been lucky to be around for her career too. Not a particularly strong field this week. Neither of last week's playoff combatants are here. This is a tough time for the LPGA players. They've got to get back to America for the CME at the end of the year. You've got to take a week off somewhere. This is kind of the weekend with a co-sanctioned event like this where you've got half the field as the Japan LPGA. I think a lot of the bigger name players have decided to take a week off, head back to the States. Having said that, there's no shortage of good players. Our own Hannah Green, Jennifer Kupcho, Rose Zhang, who showed some form last week, Hoju Kim, former winner, Ayaka Furue. Lots of very well-credentialed Japan LPGA players here, including the money list leader this year, Miyu Yamashita, who's won 4 times already, 28 events she's played, which is amazing in itself, 18 top 10s. There are
Having a year.
Yeah, not bad.
There are PGA Tour players who won't play 18 events this year.
Yeah.
She's had 18 top 10s in 28 starts and had 4 wins.
That is quite remarkable.
It is.
Almost as
And
good as
I'm
my
not tipping
year.
her.
But, you know.
I'm not tipping her.
Can't you let anyone have any moment in the sun?
What did you say?
He said almost as good as
my
his year.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It's not untrue, but anyway. So you are tipping her?
I am not tipping her.
Okay.
I'm tipping Jie Shin, who is still an extraordinary talent.
Yeah.
2-time winner already this year, 3rd on the money list, won at this course in 2020.
We'll be here for the Australian Open.
We'll be here for the Australian Open. And
Frequent
again,
Australian Open visitor.
like Sendon, just go and watch Jie Shin
Go.
hit balls.
Yeah.
It's a staggering thing.
And if you're a
like
journo,
robot.
go and talk to Gia.
Yeah,
because she's
she's
one of the
fabulous.
nicest humans you will ever meet.
Offer to
in your
take her
life.
clubs back to the other course for her because she take them.
Loke.
Unbelievable. Hannah Green, for me, I think she's still relatively fresh and will be eager for a good result.
Okay. I've tipped Greenie the last 3 weeks, and so I'm going to jump off the train.
You've used her up, I think.
Yeah, so Ayaka Fiore for me this week, only because I spent a fair bit of time with Gareth
I think
Jones.
Rod's picked her the last 3 weeks.
I spent a bit of time with Gareth Jones, Japanese national coach last week, and I really like Gareth, so I'm Team Japan this week.
Yeah.
That's literally the reason.
She's won this event previously as well, not at this golf course, but this golf course will suit her. I gave serious thought to Ayaka, but this will suit her because it's not overly long, so she's not going to have that situation where she's constantly hitting hybrids while the others are hitting irons. So, yeah, good call.
Nice. And let's go to our final stop. And Logue, you are going to tell us about the Volvo China Open, I believe.
Yes, firstly, a note about Volvo. Familiar to us all, but did you know, Jimmy, that on August 13, 1959, Volvo sold the first car equipped with today's 3-point belt system?
Seatbelt.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
And did you know, further to that, that they made this invention available to the world in the interest of saving lives?
Good on the people at Volvo.
Yes.
So
Who
they own
said the Scandinavians are no good?
I don't think anybody ever said that. They own the patent and never charged anybody.
exploited it.
It's just extraordinary.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? How many people in the world could you imagine honestly doing that? How much could you have made out of the 3-point seatbelt?
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, anyway.
Good on them. Okay, so the Asian Tour International Series is entering its final stretch with the Volvo China Open, or the Open to China, as I like to think of it.
That's very good. Open to China, as they
There's
say
only
in France.
two more events after this. As an international series event, the China Open has a significantly better field. And there's a live berth at stake, which I'll get into a little bit more.
This week?
No.
Ah, right.
But it's
the
coming to
the
a
international
culmination of the
series,
international.
yeah.
The leader, the live berth goes to the winner of the Order of Merit for the international series.
2 Order of Merits on the Asian Tour. One is for the international series events, and then there's an overall Order of Merit, which
That's
includes
right.
all the other ones as well.
And Andy Ogletree, who's a 2-time winner on the international series this year, is leading that Order of Merit race by a significant margin. So there's 3 events left, including this one. If he goes okay, a couple of top 10s that'll secure that for him. He's like $500,000 ahead, and that'll be he'll be able to regain his live berth next year. Live themselves are really boosting this qualifying narrative around this event, and there's actually, as we know, there's 4 relegations that occurred from Live, so there's 4 spots to fill. One of them, as I mentioned, is going to the Order of Merit winner, which is coming to a close. There's more at stake there, though, because there's 3 places that are going to be available via this Abu Dhabi event. It's a Live adjacent event. It's
Sort of a Q
run by
School
Live Golf Promotions or something. They're trying to say it's like
What's
a live
happened to
event
golf?
without
It
being
used
a
to
live
be
event.
quite easy to understand.
It's
Yeah,
very,
Q
it's
School.
very
what was wrong
difficult
with the
now,
tour?
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of their Q School, but it's also kind of a season-ending thing. Anyway, 3 players from that will get into live as well. So otherwise not qualified, you can get into live that way. So they're making a big deal of this pathways into live, which I think is obviously to do with official world golf
That's
rankings.
right, because that was
Yeah,
the main reason. They said that they could mathematically deal with the smaller fields and no cut, that was doable. The problem was that the thing's not open. Like, not everybody's place on live is kind of up for grabs.
Correct.
That's not cool.
So as the top 40 from the International Series Order of Merit are able to compete in that Abu Dhabi event. So you can see this clear pathway now. So people who've persisted with the International Series events are going to get that shot at getting into live and all of the riches that entails in Abu Dhabi. My question, what happens with Xander or somebody signs up and they just kick somebody out to make room for him?
I don't think.
How do
Does
they
anybody
rationalise
know?
that? They just do
I
that.
think this is why they've been cagey about the qualifying system and how many they're going to give and those things, because it's just an unknown.
Correct.
There must be a bunch of players come off contract this year, so there must be a bunch of spots. So it's a bit like the off season where people are horse trading for players. So you'd imagine they've.
You
got
can
some-
also trade between teams, from what I understand.
Do you think Matt Wolf will be trading out of Brooks?
Yeah, I
Koepka's
don't
team
think
by
he'll
any
be
chance?
playing with Smash GC next year, no.
My beloved Smash.
So the answer is it's difficult to know. It's difficult to know, and it must be hard for the players too.
Absolutely.
How do you manage to get there, and how do you stay there? Jed Morgan's obviously been relegated, so can he be picked again by Cam Smith to go and play for the Rippers because he's Australian? Is there some leeway there because they've got these? Some of the teams are international. They're sort of. It's weird. I don't think they know.
No.
And that's why it's been this fluid arrangement. They've never really sort of said, this is how we're going to do it, this is how it works. They're kind of feeling their way through it. So,
Lost in all this is that there's a national open being played this week, the China Open. It's been an event that's...
opened.
China. It's been, as the French would say, they've got a word for everything. It's an event that's been played since 1995. Missed a few years with COVID.
Brett Romford won it, I think, twice. It's been on various tours.
It's been co-sanctioned.
Who
It's
was
been
that,
a European
sorry?
Tour
Brett Romford,
event.
did he win it twice? He certainly won it.
He definitely won it. I don't know if he won it.
He might have won
twice.
it back-to-back weeks, and this was one of the weeks, back-to-back weeks in China, perhaps. But I certainly have memories of him winning because he had that amazing gown on, which was part of the prize giving. I don't know if
that's going to re-emerge as part of this week's
I hope so.
prizes.
Yeah,
but yeah, let's hope so. I'm sorry, apologies. I haven't done the research on what the trophy looks like.
What the official garment is.
Yeah. It's, as I said, missed a few years. It was co-sanctioned with European Tour, was a European Tour event. It may be co-sanctioned again next year. There's talk about that. It's a bit all over the place. It gets tossed around. It's this thing, I think.
It's an interesting market, China, isn't it?
Mm.
The tours kind of want to be there, and they're kind of reluctant about being there at the same time.
It's being played at Hidden Grace Golf Club, which is formerly Genzon Golf Club. 36-hole championship course. It's been host to this event before. It's hosted several championships, actually, of various caliber. I think the Shenzhen Open or Shenzhen International, as well as the China Open in previous years. It wraps around, the description from their website, 36 holes of championship golf that wraps around the resort's ecological 1,000-acre Dragon Lake, blending wide open spaces with undulating landscapes to create a luscious green sanctuary. That's all you want. In the middle of Shenzhen.
Luscious?
A luscious green sanctuary.
Make it a park.
Is that what did you use those words to describe Royal Melbourne last week, Jimmy?
No.
There's 14 Australians in the field, including Scott Hand and Travis Smythe. I'm not going to name the rest.
Coward.
Sung Moon Bay is playing, the Forgotten Man.
Yeah.
And, a lot of... there's a few live players. Graham McDowell's playing. There's Andy Ogletree, obviously, is playing. There's a few others. It's quite an interesting field. And as always with these Asian Tour events, there's a lot of players who I can tell you absolutely nothing about.
A lot of local players. Yeah. But that's how golf. You've got to get a start. You've got to be a nobody at some point and make your way up. So these tournaments are kind of important. These tournaments within a tournament, I think, are always interesting, and that's what you've got here. So you've got Ogletree at the top. He needs to make the cut. If he just makes 3 cuts, you'd think he's going to win, unless somebody does something amazing. That's behind him. It's down the other end where it gets interesting. So I just had a look at the 40th. Chan Shir Chang, 41st Bio Kim, 42nd Mito Pereira, 43rd Parwin Ingaret. Then we've got Sangmoon Bay, Jack Thompson, and Todd Sinnott going down to 46. Those guys will be playing to get into that 40 to play in that qualifying event to get to live.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to watch down there.
Pathways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's true.
All right.
You mentioned him. I'm tipping my beloved Bio Kim for this event. One of my favourites.
Your beloved
Kim. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's incentivised, that's for sure.
Rod?
I'm going to go with Andy Ogletree to just shut the door. He's been on a mission with this all year. 2 times winner already. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get it done again.
Notably, you've got Wenye Ding playing over there.
Yes, I saw that. Who I incorrectly named as Denye Wing in my piece yesterday.
Yes.
Oops. Sorry about that. Wenye.
I won't be tipping him, but very impressed by him.
Yeah, he was good, wasn't he?
So, yeah.
He'll be a little bit spent.
Yeah, big week.
Doesn't he get on with it?
Yeah.
Oh, give him an extra shot. Like, take a shot off his score for each tournament he plays just for getting on with it. A couple of times he caught the TV out. They come back and he's already hit.
Yeah,
he's there in his he was like Matt Jones. He's in his finish position already. It's like, good.
Very refreshing. Yeah. His dad's a legend as well.
Maybe not if you're playing with them.
So
very animated.
I'm not going to tip him. I'm just mentioning that he's there.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tip Jack Thompson from Australia, who's had a pretty good year. And given you just said Andy Ogletree's guaranteed to win, Jack Thompson's going to win the next 3 international
exactly
series
right,
and win.
Well,
and completely throw his existence into complete question as to
Jack Thompson's in 45th.
Stingers need an Australian qualifier.
He's got
Rippers.
The Rippers, sorry.
Stingers.
That's your team, isn't it?
No, I'm Majestics.
The Stingers is who Adam Pengilly will tell you don't sleep on the Stingers. Because everyone sleeps on the Stingers.
Ouch.
Jack Thompson's 45th on that list, so he wants to get into that.
He wants to, absolutely.
He wants to get in that event, so he's got incentive there for sure.
Absolutely. That will do it for episode 38 of Playing from the Tips. Rod, you've been magnificent in your insight. I was impressed by the depth of Japanese women's tour knowledge.
Yeah, I went to their website. And they've got an English version and a money list and some stats. And so...
Did it have blood type like the men's? One of the great things.
I wouldn't be
surprised. Outstanding.
One of the great
deal in
things.
Japan.
Yeah.
Why is that? Do we know? Because you lived there for a bit in Japan, didn't you?
I honestly don't know why it's such a big deal. And I can't tell you my blood type, even though I lived over there. And I recently, I went to the doctor and, just for a checkup. And I asked after my blood work came back, what's my blood type? Because I need to know because I'm going to Japan. And they said, we don't even test for that. So
I was literally, my follow-up to him doing Japanese tour was hopefully to then ask you your blood type.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can guarantee it would be some sort of negative because that's just how you are as a person.
Do you list it on dating apps in Japan? Like what your blood type is? Here's your interests. You're this tall and this colour hair and here's your blood type. Yeah, that's always been astounding.
With that sort of heavy insight, that will do us for Playing from the Tips, and we will be back next week.